Yeah. Right there. Right there. We're tired of our policies sometimes. Right there. Probably not. Right? But I cannot can support that institution. White supremacy. Supremacy. Which has slavery, mass incarceration is not a threat to color, people of color. Yes, I agree. Some politicians have not. Supremacy which has legislative support. Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning. So it's me standing in need of prayer, right? You wouldn't believe how much I need prayer today. I'm serious. I'm serious. I need prayer today because I haven't had a moment. What's wrong with this one now? Oh Lord. The adventures of Harriet have not stopped, have they? God be a fence around me every day. I kid you not. I hate Facebook. I do hate Facebook. Like seriously, I hate Facebook. I hate Facebook with a passion. Oh, Facebook, I hate you. Why did you do this to me? Mm-mm. I cannot start with Facebook at all. But anyway, we are going to start by having Facebook. I cannot believe Facebook did that to me. Oh. So, Facebook kind of just left me. Like, seriously? I cannot believe it. So, like, people will think I'm not there or something. But seriously, Facebook is unbelievable. The app won't even start, folks. It's amazing to me. Just amazing. So today is what day? Tuesday. I have been writing a grant for 2 weeks, and it's one of those structured grants, right? Anybody who writes grants know what I'm talking about. It's the most incredible thing. You hear me sound like I'm wheezing? It's because I haven't slept since Thursday night. I've been going, sleeping maybe an hour or two for 2 nights straight, right? I'm not using, that's an excellent idea. I should do that with my phone, right? Yeah, I should do that with my phone. Facebook is incredible in its application. It's incredible. I don't use the thing with Facebook is that I hesitate. I have one laptop that I use Facebook on actually, and it's a Google Chrome interface. So I don't open the Facebook on my other laptops because there are always hackers and viruses, and what they do is they send out these malware. So if you don't believe me, it happens all the time. So last week, one of the laptops that I used to write grants on, Facebook was acting out. So I had to open it on that laptop. Well, what do you know? 2 days later, they sent a malware that affected the laptop. How? I don't know. They target me all the time. I think they think that I have naked pictures on my laptops. Like, who does that, right? So I had to drain the battery, disconnect the battery. It's a good thing it's a PC and not a Mac. So I had to drain the battery so that I could get rid of the malware. It was, and I was in the midst of writing a grant. It's a good thing I had a backup laptop, a backup PC. Oh, and then the software, that it's a government agency. So the software they use, the interface is like 1999, I swear. It's like, who does this stuff? And with all the money they have, you're like, why? So it's that kind of software, because it's so dated, is subject to being hacked. So I got a virus on it. I think it was like Thursday morning or Friday morning, because they know everybody was writing and so on. So they're just looking for, honestly, it's not just your credit card information they're looking for. They're actually looking for pictures, naked pictures, right? They think that you might have naked pictures of, yourself or maybe children, because nowadays they're fascinated by children and naked pictures of children. You know that, right? There's some real creepy folks out here. So they develop an urge, is what I call it. They develop an urge for seeing your naked pictures. And so they will do anything. Like, I mean, literally, people will do anything to hack into your laptop, hack into your Wi-Fi. I have protocols on my Wi-Fi so they can drive past all they want. They can't get into that. But they try, right? People are just weird. And I'm like, what do you want to see? Oh, they probably even have stuff on your webcam. Isn't that something? It's amazing to me how the lengths that they will go to just to access your stuff. My Facebook is live and well. Yeah, I finally got live and well. I'm using my phone. Thank you. I'm using my phone because when the phone rings, then it disconnects the app. So talking about which, let me hurry up and log in over here, because once the phone rings, it's over. And your phone does ring because there are, guess who? Creepy callers who call you, right? So it's not just your friends and family. Your friends and family know I'm occupied at this time, right? But it's creepy people, like people who just call. Those random robocalls. You have just won $1 million, and I'm like, I don't care. Keep it. Or the other day I got a phone call that says you have been selected as our next winner. And I'm like, if you folks don't leave me alone, I am going to have a fit. And it's that time of the year when we get all kinds of, I swear I just had the people come out. and my Mac is acting up now. What's wrong with this? The screen went blank. The try. This is what happens to me. I swear. All I need to do is to just go public, and then all hell breaks loose on me. Hey, morning. I swear to you, it's almost like whatever. Uh no, I do not want to shut down my computer. I don't know where you got that from. So we're gonna, it's Tuesday morning, and if I sound like I'm rambling, forgive me. I had about an hour and a half worth of sleep last night. I've been writing this grant, and the time was it. Today was the due date, and so I didn't have a choice but to finish it. And it's the government. They ask the same question 100 different ways, and you're like, if I'm analyzing this right, you just asked that just a few minutes ago. So they ask the same question 100 different ways in 100 different screens. And this is you and I sitting there like, you actually waste space and data on that for that? It's just amazing. So it took the repetitiveness of it, right? Had to keep repeating it over and over. The repetitiveness. So if I haven't slept since Thursday night. So if I sound like I'm rambling, I probably am, because I'm really just like, after this is over, I told everybody, do not call me. I am going to try to close my eyes. If I can close my eyes today, before I have to make dinner, before I have my usual stuff, and I'm not done. I have another one due on the 9th, isn't it? Today's the 7th, right? I have one due on the 9th. I haven't even looked at it yet. So if I can close my eyes for 15 minutes, just shut them. I don't even have to fall asleep. Just shut my eyes for 15 minutes. I'd be so grateful, right? I would be so grateful. So we're in Michigan. So you know how freaky the weather is over here, right? You know that, right? So yesterday, I think it was Sunday, all for the dough. Yeah, all for the dough. The things we do for money, right? Legal money anyway, because some people, I don't know what they do. They do money a different way. I don't know about that. Well, I can't do what some folks do. Which brings me to, it's amazing the stuff you see on TV, isn't it? It's amazing. The stuff you see on TV, the stuff you see on the news, the stuff that people do, the stuff that people talk about. I really do need to go get some rest after this. I'm seeing stars. It's just amazing to me how folks do what they do, because the stuff I have seen lately, I saw on the news where some dude held a knife to a 7-year-old child's throat because when her mom was trying to get in the car after they bought groceries. And you're like, so what was that all about? They didn't know him. He was just walking past. He probably just wanted her car and thought that if he held the mother, he could get the car, because that works every time, all the time, right? And it's just the craziest things. My kids tell me that I see the craziest things in the news is because I look for the stuff that is way out there, the stuff that's interesting. Like I'm scrolling through Facebook and I saw where a woman pulled in a traffic stop. Did you all see that one? She pulled an alligator out of her pant leg. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me, a pet alligator probably about this long. So you tell me, in what universe would you have a pet alligator, an alligator up your pant leg? I swear, these people do this stuff for what? They just want to be seen. People just want attention. They want to be on the news. So they come up with the weirdest stuff and just do it. It's crazy to me. It's anathema. I can't. I simply can't. I can't go there. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do some of this crazy stuff that I see people do. Sometimes it makes you sit back and wonder what next. You and I are just here trying to live what we consider to be a normal life, right? And people do crazy stuff. And by the way, do you all think that Tiger Woods deserves the Congressional Medal of Honor? Did I say that right? The Congressional Medal of Honor. I thought that was reserved for people who did really heroic stuff. I don't necessarily think winning a golf championship, and I support Tiger. I think it's great that he had a good comeback, but I don't know that if that stands in the same category as a police officer giving a person a ride after he pulled them over and he discovered that they were running late for a job that they had to have. And then he said, well, why don't I take you there? Or for a firefighter who catches a baby jumping out of a building, or the firefighters who deliver the 13-year-old baby who helped resuscitate the baby after the baby was born in a toilet. To me, the Congressional Medal of Honor should be reserved for heroic-like activities, for people who came back from war and have to live with the trauma of PTSD for the rest of their lives. They're never normal after that. It's a new normal for them. The family members and they should get a Congressional Medal of Honor. I think those things should be reserved. We're so busy handing awards out that it no longer has any meaning. It's not meaningful. It doesn't mean anything anymore. We should reserve those for people who are doing great things, even in their community. The unsung heroes, the people in the community who you'll never see on the 6 o'clock news because, well, they don't have a soundbite. They're doing something good. I saw an ad just this morning for a 94-year-old man in some part of the country who gives out Hershey's chocolate bars. And he became well known for that. And people were just amazed. And when they asked him why, he said, because people will never forget kindness, right? Just handing out chocolate bars. I'm like, I want to know where he is, because I would go there every week and get a new chocolate bar like he didn't just give me one yesterday or last week. But those are the stories. Those are the folks that I think deserve the Congressional Medal of Honor. I don't think that is something you give to someone who won a golf championship, as great as that was, or somebody who won a basketball championship, unless they had an ailment or they had an incapacity, a physical or mental incapacity that the odds were against them for ever winning. You see what I mean? So it's not, you know me, I celebrate accomplishment, but I think for the Medal of Honor should be reserved and it's far more deserving of people who have done great things and who have done even greater things. It becomes even more great because they did it in spite of the odds. They did it in spite of not getting any support. They did it in spite of not having the resources to do it, right? You see it all the time. You see people go around and help others and they don't really have the money to do it, but they still see a need and they start working at it and they do it, right? I think that's what that should be reserved for. But hey, far be it from me to tell these folks what to do, right? Don't you think? Everybody thinks that they know and they can do stuff. So, hey. Wow. So today, I want to talk about Wendy Williams' husband. Let me see who is saying hey. Hey. And I wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's a difficult conversation that women we have with one another, but we don't talk about it openly, right? We don't talk about what happens, how we feel when we get cheated on, and then, they do crazy stuff and so on. So I wanted to talk about Wendy Williams' husband and what he's doing. And I want to talk about within the context of marriage being a contract. I think in real time, we forget that marriage is a contract, right? And we forget because we think all sorts of things, but the pinnacle and the premise of marriage is that this is a contract. If you're going to sign a document, it's a contract, right? You sign that you're going to love this person in spite of. You sign that you're going to be with this person, right? You sign that you're going to take care of one another. You're responsible for each other's emotional support, right? And so we enter into marriage kind of like happy. Yeah, we found the person we want to spend the rest of our lives with. We found the person whom we think we want to spend a significant portion of time with. and somebody whom we are fairly certain will be able to live with, tolerate on a day to day basis, right? Someone whom we can celebrate the joys of life with, the joys of life. Well, so marriage being a contract, then, how do we enter into marriage? How do we see marriage, and how do we deal with it when it falls apart? Because love only stays this way for a while, right? I think a lot of us don't understand love. I think we think what we think is love is not really love. That's what I think. I don't, I think we have forgotten that love also means commitment, and that you stay in the game and you stay with it even when you don't feel like it, even when it's not cool to. And I think in Wendy's case, she's sort of like a type and shadow of what love is like today. And here's why I say that: because people marry today for convenience. People don't marry because they have this fundamental need to love or be loved, right? You know it. People marry because they want a tax return, or somebody has something they want, or they want to get next to someone, right? Uh, People also marry because uh, they want to be with someone, or they want their friends to think that they're fine, right? And so today it becomes a very different, marriage takes on a different meaning. I don't even know if people know what they want. I don't even think so, because the way I see folks acting when they say they're married, I am not sure that this is a good idea. Do you see what I mean? So you might be Facebook folks, you might be seeing me on different interfaces. I wanna, because it it uh it stops. But I want to say this because there's something going on here, right? That we're not perhaps paying some attention to. And what I'm seeing is that uh, so I have too many screens open. Finally, isn't that crazy? But what we're seeing is that people are perhaps um, we're not getting the full picture. Now, check this out. Don't blame the victims yet, right? Good morning, Michelle. Chime in. I need you to start talking, right? But look at it this way: people are marrying today for convenience. Nobody loves anybody anymore. People do what they want to do anyway. Okay? People get married and it doesn't mean a thing. They still see their exes, their current, they still have cheating, they still cheat. In fact, they don't even think it's cheating, they think it's their right to do what they want to do. So, marriage today is very different. And this is true of young and old. It's very rare that you meet a couple who have decided that for better or for worse, they're going to stick together. Some people today say, well, I'm going to change when they're getting married. I'm going to change my vows to whatever. So they choose the most flowery phrases. 2 years later, they're in divorce court. So it's almost as if, did you even think about what you were saying? Did you even think about the commitment you were making? Because marriage is commitment. It means that no matter what comes, until death do we part, on no matter what comes in between, we got to stick together. Now, I've been married. I was married for 13 years. I left that marriage, twice before I actually was beaten out of it until I actually left. So, we all, if you've ever been in any kind of long term intimate committed relationship, we all have been there where we feel like you can't, you can't stay in there, so you get mad, something goes wrong, and you're ready to leave, and then, but then you come back because the commitment is the commitment, right? And you recognize that the person you're committed to they're not perfect, they don't have all what you want, but they are what you need. That's a different thing. Today, we don't bother with that process. What we do is we are with people whom we want. So we want this person because they represent an ideal. So we go with them. We don't go for somebody who you really need, somebody who you may want him, but he's not good for you or she's not good for you. We go for what we want. We should be with someone who has the qualities that is going to help us and balance us out, has the qualities and possesses the life skills that is going to hear you out. You need to be with people who are as much as compatible. You know, they used to say opposites attract. You need negative and positive, and you fight all day. And you can't understand each other. And your life is constantly filled with passion and fight and flight because you can't understand each other, because he drives you crazy, because you want to stay steady and he just wants to keep moving. He thinks it's an adventure to get up and move across the country. And you just want to stay here for 5 years and breathe. Can we just sit here for a while? He wants to leave his job and go start a new venture. And you're like, we have mortgage and children going to college. And so you start arguing about money. Where will money come from? And people start saying, well, this is my life. I want to have some control over my life. And then you start saying things like, well, you can't have control over your life because you're married. Well, that's a mistake. I should have never said that. I should have never gotten married. And then you're like, so marrying me and your children are a mistake. You see what I'm saying? And that's how stuff escalates. It goes. Yeah? I should have listened to myself. I should have listened to my parents. I should have listened to my friends. I should have listened to Tom, Dick, Harry, Jack, Sally, me, Ashley. And before you know it, you have a real problem, right? So marriage is different. So, but when you look at, and marriage is also impacted by environment, right? So you look at marriage, it's impacted by environment. And by environment, I mean, what are the physical factors surrounding the people in this contract? What are their physical factors? Who do they live? Where do they live? Who do they live with? How much money do they have? How much money you have determines the quality of life you're going to have. Sometimes, I tell you the honest truth, it's better you have nothing and you live in a hut and the two of you have to go down to the river every day to fish and hunt. You will live longer and your marriage will last. Because how much money you have determines the power dynamics in the relationship. And you can't forget that the person with the most money has what? The power. So the person with the most money determines what happens in the marriage and determines how the relationship is played out. So imagine then the woman having the money determines what happens with the man. Now, he's a dude. He has more testosterone than God knows. Is he really going to sit there forever and act like he likes this? He likes this whole thing where all she does, he's the housekeeper. He's the Mr. Man. He's the Mr. Wendy kind of thing. No. He's going to find himself someone to whom he is Mr. Somebody. And he's going to prove to the woman whom he's married to that you don't matter. And he's going to push it in her face and shove it in her face to embarrass her and hurt her. That's what Wendy's husband is doing. And there are many women who this happens to all day, every day. We marry men whom we really shouldn't have been with. We know that deep down there was something there. Or you marry them and then they turn around and they turn on you and you're like, how did I never see this coming? And some of you don't have Wendy's money, but you have your professionalism, you have your careers, right? You have your jobs, your occupations, what you do. Some of you are pastors, some of you are leaders of industry, right? And you have all this going for you. Some of you have your own businesses, your multi-level businesses. Some of you have your multi-level businesses. You have more than one businesses. And you're keeping it going while at the same time still trying to be a wife. And he's sitting there watching you play these roles. And there's a little bit of envy and jealousy because you're getting to do what he thinks he should be doing because he's the man. Just because he's the man. That's what he's thinking. So he feels emasculated. So if you're the one with the money has the power, if he wants to suddenly do something, and she said, no, why are we going to do that? That's going to cost more money. And he's like, why can't we do this? Well, I want to do something. And she says, no, because it's not cost effective, or we shouldn't spend that much money now. We should save, or we shouldn't spend it on that. We should spend it on something else. So the dynamics in the relationship are determined by the money. It's not determined by how people feel about one another or about themselves. You see what I'm saying? It's determined by how they feel about themselves. You see what I'm saying? Marriage is impacted by environment. Back in my parents' day, a couple would stay together, but the husband will have a side woman, but usually it was undercover. He didn't bring it home. But no, today it's wide open. Survival of the fittest. Hoping your career is not in jeopardy due to your spouse. Wow. Isn't that the truth? Because there are a lot of very good marriages. I've known a few. But when you marry today and you have a career, you have to wonder to yourself, am I marrying the right person? Is this going to be a good move for me? What if this turns south? How is that going to impact my career? There's a public spectacle going on here in the city of Detroit. It's called the mayor. The mayor did a business deal, and in the business deal, he apparently did something to a guy who took objection to it. The fellow didn't like the way the mayor as the city representative of the city handled the disposition of his affairs. So he had a problem with that. So he hired a private investigator to follow the mayor. The private investigator followed the mayor to his mistress's house. And the private investigator naturally took photos, took a video of the mayor going into the mistress's house, however long he stayed in there, then he came out. The the businessman took the video and posted it on a billboard in the city. So the mayor naturally was embarrassed. So the mayor and his wife trotted out the next day and said their marriage was fine. This was last fall in October. Their marriage is fine. Nothing is wrong with it and blah, blah, blah. But you and I were like, cordon. That's the warning bells going off that all is not right in Dixieland. Well, fast forward a few months later, a scandal comes out because that same video resurfaced, and it turns out the mayor, the mistress, is a scientist, right? And they found a picture where the mayor had supported her handling a nonprofit, and the mayor directed his staff to hand over some money. But that's not what got him divorced. What got him divorced were the pictures. There was a fundraiser at which he and the mistress were. A picture paints 1,000 words. You don't have to know them to look at those two people in the picture to know they had some sort of intimate relationship going on and that the people around them knew. So this was all played out. So I think it was the first week of April on opening day here for the Detroit Tigers, that same businessman hired an airborne display. You know, one of those things where the planes have a message and it's flying through the sky? He hired that. And guess what it said? It said, "Oh, will you marry me, Dr. Hassan? Oh, I forgot I'm married. Love, Mayor Dugan." After that, you knew that was, I was wondering how long before his wife would come out and say something. This time when she was silent, I knew that was it. If she didn't immediately come out and say, "I love my husband, I'm standing beside him," the longer she stayed silent was the more I knew she was not going to put up with it. And what do you think? They filed for divorce. She filed for divorce. It just can't happen, right? And when I saw that, I said, well, most women don't put up with a cheating spouse because it's very hard to deal with, right? Now, Black women tend to put up with cheating spouses more than anybody else. You know why? Because we think that there are fewer Black men available. I don't think so. Cheat on me, you do it once, you don't, I'm not waiting for you to do it a second time. We're done, right? I just can't be bothered, right? So they're done. But in Wendy's case, Wendy's a black woman. At the back of her mind, she's probably thinking, there are very few black men who are available for me to marry. So she put up with his nuances through the years. People don't just show up and demand and start cheating on you. They start giving you signs and wonders, but we're not looking for the clues. It's always there. We're just not looking. When you go back and you look at it, you realize that it was always there. People don't just get up to this morning and say, "Well, today's the day I'm going to cheat on my spouse." No, it's something that has been going around in their heads for a while. I think I got something again in my throat. Could you believe it? So I couldn't have gotten it through the phone. I was on the phone with someone who had it. I think I'm just tired. But do you see what I mean? So now they have been married a while, Wendy and her husband. In the case of the mayor, they've been married for a good 30 years, he and his wife. So that's something. Because I think she has already moved out of the mayor's mansion. She just can't put up with it because the public spectacle of it. That's what men don't realize. When you cheat on your woman, when you cheat, you are telling us something. There's a message there. And when you do it publicly, where there are other people, you might not have thought you were going public, but the fact that you're going to be seen with a person you're cheating with means something to you. That person means something to you. So for women, it really is about what? The betrayal. It's the betrayal. You let me down. You betrayed me. So here I am thinking or believing in you, and then I find out that it really wasn't like that, right? Sucks. Major. And it does suck. Let me read what people are saying. You're saying it ain't always easy playing with people's emotions like that. Nah, it's not even fair. Honestly, I don't agree with cheating because you hurt someone. And seriously, you look at this person's face who is sleeping in the bed with you every day, and you eat breakfast together, right? You laugh together. You have a life. You talk to one another. And you cheat, that's betrayal. That's some serious ish right there. That's some serious stuff. I remember when it happened to me, how I felt. The first question I said was, "Oh my God, you do this with someone else?" I was just told, like, "You really did this." And the look on his face was like, he said, "I know I'm a dog." And I'm like, I don't care about you feeling sorry for yourself. I'm just thinking that you betrayed me, that you made me feel as if. And he could not understand it because the culture of a man is so different. The dynamics there were just something else. So do you think that Wendy's husband should get the money? They spent some time together. Not only did he cheat, broke her trust, he did it publicly. She became a spectacle, a laughing stock. People made fun of her. Maybe she depended on them too much to cope. Everybody has something that they use to cope with. Don't ask me what mine is. Mine is drinking tea. I told you before, drinking tea and praying. That's how I cope with stuff, right? So maybe it's, sit down and meditate and pray and go drink some tea and call it a day, right? But she developed addictions to whatever coping mechanisms she was using to deal with the fact that she knew her marriage was in trouble and that her husband was going to leave her and she was about to lose a lot of money. Because now he's claiming spousal support. I think it's a story plot made by the media. He will get the money to degrade the image of the woman. Yes. And that's what hurts her more than anything else. Do you know that? It hurts her that when they had just started out, he was all for it because she was the one with the talent. And the promise they made to one another was, we're going to make the money together and we're going to stay together and enjoy the money together. And now he is participating in the tearing down of her image, of her public image. I tell you something, guys, I love you all and thank you for supporting me. But between me and you, that's one of my greatest fears why I'm still single. I am terrified that I'm going to love someone and trust someone, and then they're going to humiliate me publicly after I say, this is it. Nothing terrifies me like that. I kid you not. So now you know the truth. You know the truth, right? I told you you're all my therapists. So I'm kind of like listening to you, but it's true. And so you go out, you meet people, and you look at them, and you're evaluating, if this person comes close to me, what are they going to do to me? And you don't realize, you're thinking it because you're like, I have a lot more to lose than they do. For them, they can just get up and walk away. But for me, I'm going to be damaged. My image will be damaged, which will impact my ability to make a living. That's what's happening with her. And theirs is more poignant because they had spent time together when they were building something. Wendy and her husband, right? Wendy Williams. And they built something. And now he couldn't even stay the course and unite with her. She's going to get a lot of sympathy from rich white men. They're going to feel sorry for her and think that her husband is a typical dog for doing something like that. Love is a wonderful life. Yes, he should get the devil's money. He should get the money because they made the money. Yeah, he should get the money. But he could have just stayed away from it and just said, okay, we work together. I probably can't work on your product because he works with her. Because he's part of he works for her. And it's a good paying job. So he gets his own money. I don't know if it were me. I'm not telling anyone what to do. But if it were me, I'm going to find a way for him not to get a darn penny. Because there's no way that I'm going to let him walk away with my money, knowing he's going to take care of some chick who'd never worked for it. And the only reason why that chick wants him is because he was married to me. So she wants the money. I don't know, man. Wendy needs to do what Beyonce's family did to Beyonce's father. Remember, Beyonce's father was her manager. When he and Beyonce's mother were breaking up and he went and had some child with some chick, you know what they did? They fired him. Because the only reason the girl had a baby for him was why? Because he's Beyonce's father. And she thought she could get some child support money. So they fired him, made him have no assets whatsoever. So all he pays her, they signed an agreement with her. She can't ever talk about it. She can never do anything. She can't post pictures. She can't do nothing. They gave her a settlement. That's what Wendy's husband, that's what they should do with him. Because that woman is going to take her money. And if you're not careful, Wendy's not even in an emotional state of mind to really deal with this. If you're not careful, she could hurt herself. It's not the lack of love from her husband. It's the lack of what? Loyalty. It's the fact that she has to live this out in the public. How do you expect her to feel? To come in front of the camera every day, to talk to the rest of us, and to know what is going on. That is tough. That's some tough stuff, don't you think? For that, I call her husband scumbag number one. Yeah, he's a loser, big L. Yes, Wendy Williams' husband. I don't even know his name because he's not worth knowing. Wherever he is a capital loser. To do something like that to someone after you spend time with them and build something up. Can we find a loyal man somewhere? Is there a good man out there somewhere? It's unbelievable. It's totally unbelievable. Ladies, when you find a good one, do what you do. And guys, when you find a good woman, stay with her. You meet someone and they're doing something, build them up too, right? So many men nowadays, they come into people's lives and they just take what they want. They come and all they want is sex. So they just take what they want and then they go away. Some of them come and they take people's money. Some of them come and women give them their cars to drive around. While you're at work, he's driving around in your car. My thing is, are you kidding or are you kidding? Hey, right? That's my thing. Are you kidding or are you kidding? Are you serious here? Right? So what is he doing in the daytime driving around in your car? Some of you bring men into your circle, you because just because of their association with you, they're esteemed highly. Now people ascribe statuses to them, right? So now they can start their businesses take off, and they're suddenly hot commodity, right? And then he gets lost in the light of the crowd. He forgets that his commitment was to you and to the marriage. Now he thinks that he's running here and there, being with everybody else, and he's pulling away. And he's like, no, I'm not pulling away. Yeah, but you know what? He had an agenda before he even got there. And the agenda he had was what? The agenda he had was to be with you so he could launch his own platform. So he's working it. You just didn't see it. And the people around you didn't see it because he played the game and played you all. And now you're married. So you can't come out in the public and say, oh my God, I'm going to, we're going to separate, because then that would seem like a failure. Or you feel so bad about it, you think that if you say it, people are going to think that you made a mistake in the first place. Well, you sort of did, but it's better to come out of it now than to wait, because if he wants to get out of it, you're either going to come out walking or they're going to take you out, because he will find a way to get you out. You understand what I'm saying? You can come out walking, or they put something in your drink that makes it look like you had a heart attack, or you go to bed one night and you never wake up and you become a true crime story. And he's like, I don't know what happened. She was sick. She had illnesses. He took it all. I got all your money. So that's for somebody out there. You better listen. Because some of you all you're not listening. Happens for men too. Some of you men meet these people and you meet women and you don't know what you're getting into, and you put on blinders. So even when your family is telling you that something is wrong, you're not seeing it. And then before you know it, there you are, and you start having a series of little heart attacks. Your blood pressure is always high. They keep putting stuff in your food to make you sick. They do. People are nefarious. Are you serious? Are you seriously just sitting there not thinking? People will do whatever they want to get whatever they want. And so you get to a stage in life where you've acquired some stuff. Yeah? And now that you've acquired stuff, you're attractive. People want to be with you because you're attractive, or they want to be with you because you have something. You see what I mean? Let me hear what somebody's saying. But that's her reality. She embraces others on her show for business. I feel for it in marriage, but when you report the news from the bowels of the beast, sooner or later it's your number. I feel you have a great talk show, but it's very different from Miss Williams. I tell Michelle, I love you. I love you. No, I'm not a fan of Wendy Williams' show, because I think she serves the dirty on people. That's just me. Let me just put that out there. I think she serves the dirty on people. I think she'd like to call people out, and I think but that's her brand. I think she uses that to become controversial, so people will watch her. Me, I'm just me all day, right? Somebody over here calling me sexy, I guess that's just me all day. I'm just trying to be I'm me. I'm just being realistic, right? So I'm not a fan of hers. I'm just looking at it objectively. I'm looking at it as a bystander and saying, wow, and making the commentary that these things do happen in relationships, right? Regardless of how you feel about it, these things happen in relationships all the time, all the time, all the time. We make choices that we end up regretting, right? We make choices that are not the best things for us, right? Not the best look, not the best decision we could have made. I was talking to someone this morning because I had this grant. Look at my face. You feel sorry for me? I swear I'm going to go sleep after this. I promise you. And I was talking to someone who was going to help me finish the submission, the electronic submission. and he had something wrong with his throat. And I said, "Oh, you sound like you need the throat spray. You know, the throat spray, the Chloroseptics, right? That's the brand." So I said, "You can buy the generic brand of it. It works just the same. It's an antiseptic. It kills the bacteria in the throat caused from inhaling all the pollen and stuff that stores up in our system." So I said, "Well, you're at work." So I said, "Why don't you send someone out to get you one?" And he laughed. He said, "Harriet, that's why I love you." He said, "I live for the day when I can send someone out to get that for me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And he said, "That might be true for you." I said, "Right now it isn't, but we're a work in progress." And he said, "Somehow I don't believe that." And I said, "You know something? There was a time in my life when that was a reality for me when they would wash your car in the morning, right? You had the pool guy who did the pool and did the lawn and wash your car in the morning. And so when you're ready to leave, the car is started, run the AC a little bit so you'll be cool. It will be cool on the interior while you get in. Yeah. And they wash your car. So I never had to work. Maybe that's why I don't wash my car frequently because I forget. Maybe at the back of my mind, I'm thinking somebody is coming to wash or detail it. So if you ever see my car, don't judge me. At the back of my mind, I'm probably still thinking that. So I was telling him, "Yeah, and I had a living housekeeper at one point and so on." And he's like, "I live for the day to do this." I said, "Well, why don't we pray about that? Yeah, let's pray that comes to you." And I said, "But that was another lifetime. But they beat me up. So I had to run and leave that." Right? So now here I am writing grants with with my eyes tired. Right? The price you pay for love. What price are you all paying for love? I guess for however they've been married for what, 18 years, Wendy and her husband? I guess that was the price she paid to feel like she loved. It seems to me that she's been famous most of the time they were married. So he knew that he always had a good thing going with his wife. He just feels now that he can slap her in the face. He can't hit her physically, but he can tear down her image because he's angry. And these things happen, especially as people get older and they realize that they're not taken as significantly as their spouses. That's why you have to be careful. You know how the Bible says you cannot be unequally yoked? It is true. You cannot walk with someone whom you are not compatible with. Even if they don't have to do the same things that you do, but their mindset has to be like-minded. There is a pillar that the law sits on. One of the tenets of contract law is what? Is what? One of the tenets of contract law is consensus ad idem. It means we're at one, we're of one mind. Marriage is built on that tenet that we are of one mind, right? And the minute that the mindset changes, that's when the shift takes place. And that's when everything starts going south. Because even if you're a doctor, he's a lawyer, right? You're a pharmacist, he's a janitor. It's not your occupation that matters. It's the way you think about yourself and how you present yourself. That's what's the killer. That's the winner. So even in a relationship, it doesn't matter what you do. I don't care. It's not about what the person does. People miss that. It's who the person is. Maybe in his mind, he's nobody. He's nothing. And he was never seen as anyone. And the older he gets, is the more it's bothering him. He wants to emerge from being Wendy Williams' husband. We don't even know his name. We don't care to know his name. All we know about him is that he's Wendy Williams' husband. Well, that's exactly what he's fighting. He doesn't want to be like that anymore. He wants to take his money and go be somewhere else. In the meantime, he's tearing her down. He wants to bring her back down to how he had met her. And what he's stupid enough not to see is if he does that, the spousal support that he wants to have, he wants her to pay him a certain amount of money per month. The only way she is going to be able to pay him that so he can continue living the life he's always wanted to live is if she's valued. But if he destroys the value, ain't gonna happen. right? Relationships. Relationships. How do we relate? You know what relationship means? How do you relate in the ship? It's a ship. You and your spouse are in a ship. It's not about the children, y'all. Forget the children. They're going to grow up. And when it's time for them to go, believe me, guess what? They are gone. Wild horses can't keep them at home after high school. They're so ready to jump ship. Let them go. Because it was about you and your spouse relating in the ship. You and he are on this ship, this journey of life. How you relate is the journey. That's the ship, right? Let me read what somebody else is saying. You need to always have an evaluation in your relationship every 6 months, like your job evaluates you. Well, are you going to put pressure on someone? I think you need to feel people out and ask them, how are they doing? Are you happy? You're right. Are you satisfied? Are your needs being met? First of all, let me be clear. Then you fix your ship. Absolutely. Fix your ship, right? Absolutely. I feel like you need to you're responsible. You're in a relationship. You're responsible for the fulfillment of your spouse's emotional and physical needs, right? The financial parts of it are part of the contract. But in a relationship, you are responsible for your spouse's emotional and physical needs. Physical needs, as defined as sex, you are responsible for the fulfillment of their need. You're responsible for the fulfillment of their emotional needs. That's a relation in the ship. In the ship. We forget that. We forget. And as you get older, stuff starts happening. So you turn 35 and men lose their libido. Yes, because a lot of men have erectile dysfunction. And men lose their libido. And women, this is you. Where do y'all find time? They date. They change them up. They're always like, honey, I'm busy. I gotta go. And this is you. Huh? You're busier. You're more active than I am. But in a relationship, so it's a myth that when old people don't have sex, it's a myth. Like seriously. They have sex more than you know. They have it during the day while we are at work. They have it at night. They have it in the mornings. They have it before the kids and the grandkids come over. And then they look at us and smile and still act like they're old and people. Don't listen to them. Right? It's the truth. It's the truth. You're all looking at me like, and you're laughing because you know it's true. You don't believe me? Go check on your parents and grandparents. They're not going to tell you. They'll just say, what do you want to know? My thing is, this is what I say to my children. When they start talking, I said, oh, you thought you invented it? So you thought it just happened? I said, how do you think you got here? And they're like, Mom, don't talk. I said, well, let me show you how. It's hilarious because you're trying to, because they think they're, and you're like, honey, please, where do you think you got that from? Right? Where do you think you got your good looks from and your style? You got it from your parents. They were young ones, right? So we're in this ship and we have to relate. And our biggest problem is that, how we relate. And as time changes, and time is and motion, right? Time and motion, when applied to a relationship, exerts pressure. People change as time goes by. Your perspectives evolve. Don't say you don't change. Yes, we all do, because change is a constant of life. We don't embrace it because we want to think that we're going to stay 16 forever with the same mindset at 21, at 42. Impossible. We change. Embrace it. The thing to do when we change is to recognize that a change in a shift in our thinking has happened. They used to call it a paradigm shift. Now they call it anything. Right? But what happens is that you have evolved your perspectives, your thoughts, and what would have been convenient for you to have tolerated a few years ago, suddenly now in this space that you're in this time, you can't, because it is not, you just simply can't, right? Pray for me. Pray for me. Stretch your hand out and pray for me. I feel it. Pray for me, right? Pray for me. Look this way. Pray for me, right? So for many of us, especially, and this happens for men too, some men, based on their occupations and their positions, don't enter into relationships. My grandparents are freaky and I'm 56, you bet. Yes, they do. Right? And some men don't enter into relationships because they have a lot to lose, right? They have businesses with their names on it and their family's entire interest. So they tell themselves, I can't afford to go into enter into some sort of a relationship that's going to impact. That's not even a good excuse not to be in a relationship, because there are legal provisions. You can, it's something called a prenuptial agreement is one. There's also a word starting with C that's called a contract. If you're going to live with someone, write up a contract. So that's not even a good reason, right? If the damage to your public image is what you're concerned about, put it in the contract. Put a morals clause in the contract then. I feel like if we're all going to get married, we need to talk about some of this stuff. Because people will change. Is cheating you being attracted? Okay, so you don't want to call it cheating. Is you being attracted to someone else going to be a problem later on? Because let's face it, you might change. You might suddenly find that your libido changes, positively or negatively. Maybe you suddenly feel like you have a stronger sex drive. Maybe your diet changed, some sort of chemical, hormonal balance takes place, and suddenly you are feeling like you're Mr. God, you can have sex with anybody, right? Or you feel you get to a stage in life where you can't have sex, but you don't want to tell your spouse. So you think that if you go and have sex with someone else, then you will find out if it is really that, or maybe it's your spouse you're no longer attracted to. People do that as well, right? You may not even like your spouse. Have you ever seen some of these guys standing beside famous women? And they're just there for the picture. They look like they want to be clammed over. They're not enjoying it at all. I heard a woman say recently, you know, Kathy Lee Gifford, right? Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda host the NBC morning show that takes place like after 9 or 10 o'clock in the mornings. And she was on Dr. Oz's show about 2 or 3 months ago. And he asked her, how did she feel? Because, you know, her husband was a former quarterback. I can't remember which team he was. And he became a broadcaster, a sports broadcaster, and he died a few years ago. And she says ever since then, she said a loneliness that she never knew existed took place. So she thought she would have met someone and, you know, coupled up with someone. And what she found was that men today don't like being around women of accomplishment. Feel like they're lost. They feel like they can't stand in the same light as you. And so they don't want to be with you. They would rather be with people whom they, according to them, they don't have to share the spotlight with. So my thing is, so you wanted a spotlight in the first place. So this was about you being a star. This was never about you being in a relationship. That's just how I look at it. So she says, she says, but you know, she's an accomplished person. So she can't go and unaccomplish herself to make someone comfortable. So what does she do? And I was like, you wait for the right person. The right person will come who will enjoy you right where you are. For whom it's not about sharing the spotlight. It's not about competing. He's not envious or jealous. This works both ways for men and women, right? The right person who, when they show up, they're there because they want to be there. They're there because they like you enough to want to spend time with you. Sometimes they just want to be around you because you have something that makes them look good, or they want to be seen with you or being associated with you. Years ago, there was an actress named Meg Ryan. Anybody remembers her? Well, there was a guy from New Zealand, a white guy, who was trying to make it as an actor here. His name is Russell Crowe or something like that. Meg Ryan was married to this wonderful guy named Dennis Quaid. I loved them as a couple. Dennis Quaid was a nice guy, right? They had been married for about 11 years. They had children and a house and a life together. She and this guy, Russell Crowe, acted in a movie and the heat got on. And so she made a decision to leave her marriage for this guy. Her husband told her, don't do it because that man is just with you to get started in Hollywood. She didn't listen. She left her husband for this guy, Russell Crowe. You know what happened? Within a year and a half, it was over. He moved on and married someone else. She's still single today. But her husband was the winner. He moved on. It was very damaging for him, but he remarried, and he's happily married. Dennis Quaid, Quaid, you know him, right? Good looking fellow, right? But that story stayed with me for a long time because I could see the dynamics of it, because everyone else could see that this guy, Russell Crowe, came into her life so he could have access to whom she had access to. And she just couldn't see it. She refused to think that he didn't, what he said, he meant it. You got to know yourself, people, and you got to know the people around you. You know what I mean? You have to be able to feel as if comfortably enough to know people and to be assured that the people who come to you are people who deserve to be there and people who want to be there. There is a difference. There is a difference. Recently, I was telling someone how my ex-boyfriend was with some other chick, right? Whom he thought was popular. And he learned, I guess, that there's a difference between being popular and having influence. What he thought being popular was the thing. Then he discovered, and he met me, and he discovered that I had influence. It took him to a whole other level in the sense that he felt different about it. When he was with the other one who was popular, he thought he was the star, together, whatever. But with me, he was like, you know, everybody from here up and down the pike. You know, everybody. The people whom I hear you're on the phone with and the people you talk to are people whom I don't know. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't unmake myself. It took me years to build myself, but it's not a problem. So do with that as you will. I've been there. I know what that feels like, right? So in a lot of ways, I think that didn't work out because maybe he felt some type of way. He felt like he couldn't handle it. He felt like the spotlight would not be on him, which is a good thing because then it tells me you were not there for me in the first place. You'd be surprised. We don't go into relationships because people like me, we go into relationships because intimate relationships, because we can cultivate a variety of connections, right? But an intimate relationship, we desire to be with someone who is going to be there for me. And that, my friends, is the hardest thing. I do believe in love. I do believe in love. I never stop. I do believe in love, but I think maybe most people don't understand love. Yeah? Love is a force. And love doesn't change. Even when someone does, even though he did something I didn't like, it didn't mean I stopped loving him immediately because you can't turn it off. Right? I discovered that. Even though I did not like what he did, I thought I hated him, but the love was still there. The love stayed still there. But does it mean that I am going to make myself available to be hurt again? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. You'd have to prove something, right? I do believe in love. I do believe that love is a force and love is powerful. And what is yours? If someone loves you, wild horses won't keep them away. That's how I feel. So if someone loves you, they're going to find a way to let you know how much they love you. Otherwise, then it's just a wasted emotion. It's just a feeling, right? You just wake up one day and feel something. So they say something. But love is a force. And love stands the test of time. Love does not go away. It stays there, right? But yeah, seriously, I feel like, so I'm particular. They come around you and they want to look at you, and you're like, no, please keep it moving. I must have told you a funny story when years ago when I thought I would. It's about 10 years ago now. Time flies, and I thought I would go back into dating. This guy presented himself as a writer. That's the only way I would have talked to him. And then I found out he doesn't pay child support. He abandoned his children. He abandoned his wife who was working to support him. And then he abandoned her. He cheated. And then he abandoned her and the children. So she had to go take the children and go leave them with her mother so she could go to work. Right? And he's sitting in front of me, and I'm like, you do know you're talking to me. I do have children. And he looked at me and I said, he says he's gay now. I'm like, I saw him about 3 years ago. I couldn't even recognize him. And I was like, how did you find out you're gay? You were gay when you were married, or you didn't know you were? You know what that was? Convenience. I think he just said that so he could be with someone who would pay his bills for him. People are funny like that. Yeah. Oh, Michelle, you're preaching. We don't control the back doors of life. And what else did you say? You said, I get what you're saying, but you can't predict that. No, honestly, life is a gamble. There are no guarantees. Tell me, when you go to bed tonight, is there a guarantee that you will wake up in the morning? No, you have a plan that when you do wake up, or if you do wake up, something will happen. But there are no guarantees in life. Nothing is guaranteed. My ex-boyfriend, his parents were married for 63 years until the death of his mother, right? His father told me that after that, his father is in his 80s. His father said, I'm not marrying again. I have had a lifetime of he said, that was my wife. He said, as far as he's concerned, he says, my wife is dead. But I have had a wife. And I remember saying to my ex-boyfriend at the time, I said, no, think about that. Your parents spent 63 years together. They raised children, 4 children together, right? And I said, what do you do? He couldn't answer. He was blown away. He was like, oh, that wasn't fair. And I'm like, think about it. They spent 63 years together. They built a family. They built a business together. What gives? So tell me, what dynamics are we missing? Do you see what I mean? Because we feel like we have options. Back then, they were like, this is who you marry. This is what you do. You stay with this till death do you part. You work it. You build it. You bring home the bacon, cook it, toss it, serve it up on top of salad, and eat it. Today, we feel like we have options. So men and women today, I don't have to put up with this. People get married and get divorced on a whim because he didn't pick up the dry cleaning. That's why I should step out in faith and do it. When the right person comes along, sure. Do I sound like I'm doubting whether the right person will come along? Absolutely not. I have faith that the right person will come along. They just haven't come yet. Right? But seriously, I feel we need to be, we treat relationships as if it's a car, like we're on a train. And you can pull the thing down that tells the conductor when to stop. That's not how relationships are. Relationships are not like a train. Relationships are a ship that you get on board with. Dude, really? And relationship, when you get on board with it, you can't get off to the next port. The next port might not come. You have 700 miles of sea. Married on Monday morning and divorced by midnight. Mitchell, you have not a clue, dude. They spent, guys, talk to me. Really? They spent $25,000, $35,000 on a wedding, and it doesn't last 2 years. I'm telling you, we all need to start asking people, give me my money back, give me my gift back. When people getting married, no, you should say, how long you plan to stay married for? And they say, a year. You say, well, here's $100. 2 years, $200. 3 years, here it is. Because they're not staying together. They get into it. They watch too many Real Housewives dramas. They watch everybody else's life and they want to be like someone else except whom they are. So they don't become the spouse that they're designed to be for that person. You see what I'm saying? So you want to be like Kim Kardashian to Kanye. So you treat your husband like he's a Kanye. Or who is the other one they idealize? They idolize Beyonce and Jay-Z, Aisha and Stephen Curry, right? That's what people do. They look at idols of relationships. These people are in and out of. You don't know how often they change bed partners. What they do is they have one partner whom they're married to, whom they put in front of the media, but you don't know how they jump in and out of bed with people. Come on, right? So you say, he's not doing what I want him to do, and you judge him based on what standard? Are you judging him based on him? When you met him, he was always the guy working at the plant. How did you expect him to be Mr. Don wearing a suit every day? Right? People, I think we need to start having that. Oh, you're getting married? Have you talked to one another? When people come to you now and tell you they're getting married, especially young, you're like, have you talked? What if so-and-so happens? Have you had that conversation? Talk to them. And people like my age, what happens is we come to a place where we accept certain things about life, right? So we're getting married for different reasons than someone in their 30s. We're getting married for companionship. Someone in their 30s, they're getting married for passion. Oh, I'm going to have sex every night now. I don't have to make a date for it. I'm serious. They're getting married for a tax bracket. Oh, well, then when we file taxes, we'll get a lot of money back. We can buy the boat. We can go on this vacation. And I can show my friends on Facebook and I can take a picture on Instagram. That's what they're thinking. People my age are like, is this person going to stay with me if I go to the doctor and I get a bad diagnosis? Will they bring me a glass of water? Will they bring me my medication? Are they going to hold my hand when we're shaking together? Relationships, right? Relationships. How do you relate in the ship, right? I think Wendy she has some tough years ahead of her. There's some tough days ahead of her. It's going to be tough for a while because she's going to have to walk it out. And she's going to have to separate the money and give it to him. And then she won't be capable of making any more money. It will destroy her. Because to look and see that something you built up, the man you love decides to just take it and walk away and give it to someone else is something most women can't deal with. And Wendy's not alone. Remember the designer Kate Spade last summer? It was last summer, right? Last June, actually. This year will be a year. Same thing. She and her husband built an empire. And then he wanted to be with someone younger. It took 7 years before she finally left the marriage and she chose to leave it by death. By that time, he had moved out and was living somewhere else. When they're ready to go, let them go. Man or woman, somebody tells you they don't want to be with you anymore, don't try to change their minds. They have already made up their minds. They are turned off. You don't ignite them or fire them up anymore. Let them go. Let them go. And you get on with your life and live your life. You have a whole lot of life to live. If I were Kate Spade and had her money, man, you wouldn't want to see me. My boobs would be the wonder of the world. My body would be the best body that a plastic surgeon could design. Then I'm buying a yacht. I don't have to sail around the Horn of Africa, but that yacht will be anchored in the south of France. So it's now approaching the season. I would be anchored in the south of France. I will be anchored in the south of France from May to early September. I'll be on my yacht every day sipping mimosa. I go to Dubai for parties and to dinner. I'm just saying. That's just me. Oh, he would pay for that. That's just me. That's just how I see it. Relationships. How do we relate in the ship? Right? How do we relate in the ship? Wendy needs a tugboat. That's not a kind thing to say. That's so not kind, right? But she has some tough days ahead of her. Pray for her. There's some tough days ahead. Pray that she makes it through the storm because it's a storm. It's the worst thing in the world to see the person you love walk off with someone else. It's not a nice feeling. It's not nice. And I think we all need to pause and think about how we do these things. We need to have a little bit more integrity than we currently have. It's not enough for us. It's not enough. It's not okay to just be with someone and then you leave them and you walk off with someone else. We need to have a little bit more integrity. You're hurting people and you're damaging people. And then some people can't cope with it. So they have to take substances to numb the pain out. And sometimes when we walk away from people, we don't just walk away. We have the nerve to be public with it. We have the nerve to go public and broadcast it that this is the person I'm with. You all do it on Facebook. You just broke up with your baby mama number one. And then you have baby mama number two in pictures. This is my chick, my wife, my bee, my girl, my this, my that. As if baby mama number one isn't watching. She doesn't have feelings, right? Igniting a fire there. You don't know. People cope in different ways, right? Everybody is not strong, right? Similarly with men. Women leave men and this is my new boo. And you think he's having fun sitting back and watching, right? We need to have a little bit more integrity in how we separate from people. We can't, you can't, unless someone hurts you or they're stalking you. I have issues with that stuff. You know, I hate people who are creepy and stalk other people, right? You know, you just broke up. Don't use, I'm beginning to think there are some words we should not use. Don't tell anybody I don't want you anymore. And don't tell people I don't love you anymore. Right? That is what Hollywood teaches us. Say something like, we've come to a fork in the road. We've come to an intersection where we're no longer connecting. You see what I mean? Say stuff like that. Use kinder words. Don't say, I don't love you anymore. I don't want you anymore. Those words are damaging to people. It makes people go sit down and evaluate themselves and say, I'm not worth anything. They look at themselves and they're like, oh my God, you mean all of me and I'm not. People don't feel worthy. We need to stop that. That's hurtful, y'all. Can I just ask you, can you just commit that you'll never do that? If you are in a relationship with someone and you're going to break up, don't tell them I don't want you anymore, or I just want to move on, or I just want to be free. Don't tell them that because then it makes them feel like, so I was tying you down? Just say we've come to a fork in the road. We're at an intersection where we're not connecting. We're going in opposite directions. And I love you. I will always support you. I will always love you, but I don't love you romantically. I cannot we cannot do this anymore. Tell people nice words, right? They will make you shoot you in your sleep. No. Put stuff in your food, in your drink. Suddenly you start feeling some type of way. Then you hear so-and-so died. Right? We need to look at language. Language is important, isn't it? Language is important. Don't tell people, hey, don't tell people, I don't want to see you anymore. Don't come back here. The way in which we talk to people, you were just laying in bed with them, naked, sharing body fluids. And now you all of a sudden, did you just not forget about promises? Did you just not tell them? Right? Unbelievable. I was in an Uber the other day, and the driver, I talk to everybody. So I like to ask, I had asked this question. What are the weirdest things you've ever seen? And he said he picked up a lady once. The boyfriend requested her. So when he got to the boyfriend's house, she's calling him and he wouldn't answer the phone. She went and knocked on the door and he wouldn't answer the door. Turns out, in between the time that he got her a cab to come, someone else showed up. So now he can't answer the door or anything. So the woman doesn't have the return fare to go back home because the boyfriend requested the cab. So now she doesn't have the money to go back home. So she asked the cab driver, the Uber driver, to take her back home. And he said, no, who's going to pay me? And she said, well, I don't have any money. And he was like, I can't take you back. And she said, well, he requested it. And he said, well, he's not answering the phone. And he closed the door and he's not answering the door. But you knew he was there. His car was there and everything else. That's hurtful. And while he was saying it to me, he might have thought, and he's from, another culture. So he thought it was unheard of because he's Muslim. In their culture, stuff like that doesn't happen. So he thought it was like a reality show that he was seeing unfold. And I was like, wow, people's lives become a joke. We got to stop that. We're not honoring, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask you, as black people, and white people, and yellow people, and brown people, start respecting one another. Don't do stuff like that. You send a cab for one woman, then you call another woman to come in the interim. And you have the other woman waiting out there. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's hurtful. I was listening, when he told me this story, I listened to it and I was like, can you believe it? I couldn't believe it. I said, imagine how she felt sitting there. Come on, we need to stop hurting one another. We need to stop. The words we use. You're a scumbag. You're a this. You're a that. Well, if you're going to call him a scumbag, that relationship is over. If you're going to call her a bitch, that relationship is over. Can't use those terms, right? Call people a whore? No. Can't use it and still be like that. No. By the time the name calling starts, it's done. Quit. It's over. You get angry, yeah. But we have to learn to, even when we're really angry, control ourselves because our words have impact and they don't go away. And no matter how you say, I'm sorry, there are some things that can't come back. It's like cheating. You can say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And this is for men and women because women cheat too. Don't cheat. For God's sake, stop. It's not necessary. It's not glamorous. I know they make it seem like it's something everyone should do. It's not. Right? Words have power. Use your words to heal. Use your words to bring correction. But for the love of God, do not use your words to kill. Not in a relationship. Not with someone you have slept with and opened yourself to. When it gets to that stage, it's time for us to say, you know something? This party is over. Hey, Tony, it's time for us to say the party is over. It's over. Out. We're gone. Right? Relationship. How are we relating in the ship? Right? How are we talking to one another? Anybody been on Facebook lately? And you see the stuff that people post. People are lonely. People need somebody. They want companionship. You know what they want? Connection. They want a real connection. People don't just want to be a booty call at 12 o'clock at night, at 11 o'clock, or at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a booty call. That's not a relationship. But you are spending time together, so it's a relationship. Make a commitment. Commit to something. Let me see what folks are saying. Tell it like it is. Gangster, right? We can't do that. We got to stop this stuff. It's too hurtful. There's too much hurt. Do you realize that we are sending all these words out that is creating an atmosphere of hate? So I can say that because I lived it, right? When my ex and I were separating, there was so much acrimony. The man had called me every name in the book. I was too terrified to talk to him because if I said anything, I didn't want to be hit, right? Because he was going to hit me. It wasn't just, oh, he was going to hit me, right? But there was so much hate and anger. I just wanted to get away from him. Well, fast forward 6 years into the future, right? And he calls me and he says to me, I am so sorry. I don't understand why I was filled with so much hate and anger. And he said, these last years, he said, would you believe I haven't dated anybody? He said, I could not bring myself because I kept thinking what I had done to you. And he said, I ruined your life. And he said, for that, I'm sorry. This was in 2006. Man, I was driving. I literally had, this was me. Because I thought he was, we were talking about our daughter. I had to hold the phone and say, is this? I said, maybe I should record this. So he heard me moving around in the car because I pulled over because I wanted to record this stuff for all posterity. Because here is the man who was so filled with hate and anger, told me the most hateful things, hurt me in the most hateful ways, and hurtful ways that it's almost as if he was going to strum up today to figure out what ways was he going to hurt me with. And years later, to call and apologize. I received it with grace. But that was grace. That wasn't me. I said, okay. I did say, I told you. But I said, and he was like, can we get back together? And I'm like, no. Too much water under the bridge. That train left the station. I wish you all the best. Let's move forward. And he couldn't move forward. And I didn't realize it because it was 2006. I had so much stuff going on, right? I was launching my public platform, right? So I was too focused. Was over, right? But what he said, his words stung because they were unfair. They didn't need to be said. And he said it because he was angry at whatever, I don't know. This is why I say when you go into a relationship, do the work on yourself so you don't take all this stuff in. So what you feel about the person is how you feel disposed towards them just because they are that person. Not because they remind you of Tom or Ashley or Jim or Sally, but because they are who they are. So if they feel good about you, it's because it's you they feel good about. Right? Do the work. Do the work. And support one another for the love of God. Please. Please, I'm so tired of seeing people in relationships just hating on one another. Respect one another, right? Respect one another. That's his curse. Well, Tony, honestly, he died 6 years ago, 2013. We were married for 13 years, and he died 13 years after we separated. I don't know what that is all about, right? But it was what it was, right? The anger and the hostility, right? We become so hateful. I don't know that when love goes sour, it sure does. Doesn't it go south pretty quickly? It's unbelievable. It's totally unbelievable. There are some things that we do in relationships that we must take ownership of. The way we treat the other person. If you are with someone and they're treating you badly, and you realize that you're with someone and you suspect that they're going to hurt you, then you need to get out of that as quickly as possible. It knocks off a little dust. Yeah, it does heal. I mean, I think he was saying it, Michelle, for within the context of what you're saying. I think he was saying it because He might have been going to some sort of counseling session and they told him that. That's one. Number two, at the time, he might have felt contrite. You know, he might have felt contrite because after that, he was just as emotionally abusive. He used to call my house every Saturday morning to find out who was answering the phone and still trying to be controlling when there was no relationship anymore. The relationship had been severed. It's severed, was gone, cut off, done, finished, finito, packed away, right? Everything about it was done, right? So in a lot of ways, we dispose of relationships just like we dispose of garbage. We dispose of people just like we dispose of something you no longer want. So you bought a piece of furniture, you don't want it anymore, you put it out on the curb. You bought dinner, you don't want it anymore, you just throw it in the trash. That's how we dispose of people. But people are not like that. People are not conveyances. People are not objects. Just because, and I found this when you asked me, I think it was one of my viewers, Mitchell, was it you who asked me about love? One of the things I found about love is that love is such a powerful force that even when the person does something that you don't like, even when you, after all that is done, you find out at the bottom of it, you still love them. That's love. No matter what they have done, and that's when you will forgive. You may not forget, but you will forgive. I don't forget. I don't forget. I don't forget the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right? You found out there was no one else like me? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know what his issue was. But I do know that it was the damage had been done irrevocably and it was irretrievable. Sometimes we are too quick and hasty to say goodbye to people who have been good to us, right? We need to take stock, right? Sometimes people come to relationships and you let others influence how you feel about them. They come to you, they may not have $1 million to bring, but they bring the best of themselves, right? You need to determine if that's the gift that you're going to accept, right? You're going to accept the gift of themselves or you're going to accept their gift of money. Pick your choice, right? But if you're going to accept the gift of themselves, then you accept it and you keep it and keep a lid on it. But you don't go talking about it and act as if you wanted something more. We're not transparent at the beginning of relationships. We come in and we have hidden agendas. Be like Harriet. I just tell it like it is. I am straightforward. This is me. This is what I do. This is what I have. All I have. And this is me. Straightforward. Is that okay? I don't have hidden agendas. I don't say something that I don't deliver. I don't wear stuff that is not, you understand what I'm saying? I don't pretend. I don't act like me, and it's me all day, every day. Come into relationships transparent, baby. Lay yourselves broken, just like when we go to Jesus. Let me tell you, if we don't go in like that, the best relationships are where people are humble to one another. You come in there with your gigantic sized egos, that stuff gets stale and it does not work. I lived it. I thought it was over and then I experienced it again, right? Get rid of the egos. It's not about egos. It's about real time. It's about the real time ego. If you don't love the person and you don't really want them, don't be there. Get up and get the hell out of Dodge and go find the person whom you want to be with. Don't waste people's time by being with them and hurting them. And then at the end of it, you're going to walk away. I'm talking to too many hurting people. I think it's getting there. Too many people have been hurt. You look in women's faces and you see the hurt. And every now and then you meet a guy who was hurt by someone else. You meet people and they're hurt Too much hurt, right? We're too full of ego. Stop watching TV and letting TV determine what your life is supposed to be like. What they have on TV is ideal. Not even they live it. They throw stuff at one another. They curse one another. They take drugs. They drink. Hey, people not telling you the truth about how they live. I'm about to be done, right? Give me 5 more minutes and I'll be done, right? But before I go, let me just tell you the truth about people. People lie and people put on a facade, right? All this stuff you see on TV and all these people who are always on Facebook, me and my hubby and me and my man and me, it's a lie. They're putting something forward to pretend, to make you feel that they're doing something and something good is going on. No, right? So stop patterning your lives and saying, I want to be a couple like the Browns or the Jones or the Smith. Be your own couple. If you've never had a relationship that you model after, be the model. Create, innovate, but don't copy off someone else because you don't know what they're going through and you don't know what they're paying to go through it, right? We need to do these things and be transparent. We're at the stage now, look, you can step out of your house, get in your car and hit I-75 and that's the end of you. You can get up and decide to go to Meijer or Target and some crazy dude walks in with an AR-15 and it is over. You can go to work thinking everything is safe and some dude or some girl who got fired comes back with a gun and everybody, your history. Okay? So we don't have time to play around. So if you're at this stage and you're alone, whether you are 30, I don't care. Whether you're 25, I don't care. Same principles apply. Be transparent. Especially when you're young and you're going to like to stay with someone longer. Be transparent. This is me. I got this. I have this. I have that. Don't listen to all these foolish people on Facebook and all over the place giving stupid ass counseling about be careful what you tell people when you just start off. That is the facade, and that's the problem that is creating problems in relationships. Tell them, man, I'm a dude. I did some things. I went to jail, spent some time in the system. I have 12 children, and I can't support one of them. Let her pick up the choice where she's going to be. But don't come in there. You're married, but you took your ring off. What's that all about? So she's wondering why she can't go to your house and start getting frustrated because you're married. And you live in another city, so you just come and pretend. Stop it. Be transparent. You don't love the person? Tell them, I don't feel that strongly, but maybe we can work towards it. Or maybe this is where we come to this fork in the road. And it is not going to work for either one of us. And move forward. Hello. Have a wonderful day, Michelle, okay? Thank you for joining us. Step out on faith. Hey, right? Do you see what I'm saying? I gotta go. I gotta wrap this up. This has been, I thought I would be done an hour ago, right? But do you see what I mean? We gotta stop this. Be real in relationships. Be transparent. Say it. And for the love of God in Christ Jesus, don't become like Wendy Williams' husband. You build something together. Respect it. Respect the time that you spent there. It was you. You put yourself into that. You helped her build it. You helped him build it. Respect it. Now, if you're going to be like Jeff Bezos, he and his wife built Amazon together. So now they're getting divorced. They didn't rip the company apart. They didn't rip the company's name and image apart. No, they had a respectful divorce behind closed doors. They kept it out of the media, paid everybody off, kept it out, and still kept her on the board. So he feels like, he says he knows she will back him up. That's what we ought to do. Don't tear people apart. Don't you? So you're done? Okay. Walk away. I gotta go. Be blessed, everybody. See you. If this message has been a blessing to you, make sure you go to my website, harrietkemmett.com, as well as go to the Exodus Foundation and support the work we're doing for victims of human trafficking. We need your support. your faithful support. I don't care how much you give. Give me 10 cents, give me $1. We accept Visa, MasterCard, Discover, every kind of payment. There is PayPal, whatever. Give us, leave us a blessing so that we can continue to be a blessing. Join me again on my next broadcast. In the meantime, stay faithful. Yeah. And remember, the best is yet to come. Be blessed, everybody. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You are not kidding me. Hmm.